lot of people are taking a stronger interest in happiness right now than ever before.
Why wouldn't you want to do something to increase your happiness?
I've decided that I'm actually going to buy all of the women in my life this book. I remember hearing about the Happiness Project and thinking, this sounds so incredibly annoying, I'm never going to read it. And I ended up actually really loving this book.
I really loved the element of the story that Gretchen brought to it. I felt like I was her long-lost best friend, just hanging out with her and getting to know her kids, getting to know her husband.
I read the book last year and had a chance to meet the author and was really fascinated and captivated by her. And recently I decided to start my own happiness project.
Here's the deal. I like this book. You know why? It makes a very weird noise when you throw it against the wall.
I had the idea for the Happiness Project when I was on the city bus in the pouring rain, and I thought, what do I want from life anyway? I want to be happy. But I realized I never spent any time thinking about whether I was happy or how I could be happier. This book is really a memoir of thinking and researching and experimenting. So it's one of these year of experiments.
Every month, Gretchen creates different happiness resolutions so she can figure out what really makes her happy.
Reading the Happiness Project, the image I sometimes get is like Gretchen trying on all these different outfits. She tries on the let me clean up the house project, let me put on the connect with my friends one, and then at the end of the day she kind of tries to put that outfit together.
She was doing it almost as a researcher and using herself as the subject.
I think what's so amazing about her 12 experiments is that many of them she fails at. She realizes that her happiness is not the same as other people's happiness, and that's okay.
Clearly I am way over the top with my Happiness Project, and part of the idea was it was like, I'll do all these things so you don't have to. And my sense of it is that most people read it and they take away a few things that really work for them, but they don't do the whole project as systematically.
There was lots going on in my life at the time, and I could tell that I was ready for a change. There's tons of self-help books out there, but I think this seemed very doable, involving everyday changes to make a really big impact.
So what I'm doing with the vision book is, some writings, but a lot of visual things as well, pictures and things that inspire me, or just little sketches. It's not a diary, but rather let me start to envision my future and let me start to envision my happiness.
If you ask people, why do you want to have a successful career? Why do you want to learn more? Why do you want to get healthy? If you keep asking them, at the root of it, they would say that they want to be happy.
I can't think of one person who doesn't want to be happy, but they don't pause to sort of say, what does success look like for me? What does happiness look like for me? And so they're searching for it, but they never stopped to define it for themselves.
Happiness is something that doesn't need to be pondered. Just do your life. Go enjoy yourself. Hang out with your friends. Stop thinking about it. Stop writing about it.
There's this idea that the minute that you start asking yourself if you're happier, you're going to kind of trip over your own feet, and that you're much better off, instead of pursuing happiness, pursuing other things and then letting happiness come as a byproduct.
I think there are so many ways that asking yourself if you're happy allows you to be happier.
If you don't remind yourself that you are happy, it can just pass unnoticed right under your feet.
We have it too good in this country. If you were in a third world country, you're worried about finding food, you're worried about running from animals or political insurgents, We have too much free time on our hands to engage in this asinine introspection.
We really live in a very prosperous time relative to all of history, and I think that it's just natural when people feel safe and secure that they turn their mind to higher things like happiness.
There's been 1,000 books written along the same subject lines, is I have almost everything I want in my life, I need a little more.
It is a little bit frustrating that the narrator of this book truly is pretty in control of her life. And now she has created this, daily document to make her life incrementally that much more perfect.
A lot of people felt like, well, it was very sort of self-indulgent for a person who wasn't deeply unhappy to be spending time thinking about how to be happier.
I think the fact that Gretchen comes from a slightly happy state to begin with is actually one of the biggest strengths of this book, because most people are actually in the same boat.
Happiness has this really bad reputation, and a lot of people say oh, well, happy people are smug and self-centered, but research shows that it's when we're happy ourselves that we have the emotional wherewithal to turn outward and think about other people.
When you are authentically happier yourself, that resonates. That's an energy that people pick up on.
As somebody who rides the subway every day, I can say that when people around me are unhappy, I am also unhappy.
It turns out that unhappy people are more likely to be defensive, isolated, and preoccupied with their own problems.
So Gretchen's argument about that unhappy people make other people unhappy, well, my feeling is everyone needs a hobby.
Happiness is contagious. I think the negative can be contagious too, and so people have to be responsible with how they treat other people. So I hope that everything that comes out of this project for me, making me happier, but also kind of sending that out and paying that forward, and then other people, being happier as well.
Really, I feel like all the things that I was working on, I'm going to be working on for the rest of my life. I'm more interested in happiness than ever. I feel like the deeper that I go, the bigger it gets.